Good evening, everyone. This is Mr. Colley, Mr. Montalvo, Dr. Picciarella, and Mr. Cachola. Reason why we're coming on tonight is this is Earth Day Eve. And what we're trying to do is, during this time period, come together as a family. Now, we have a lot of schools represented. And although we're talking about a day in history, on this page right now, it's history. Let me explain to you. Miss Picciarella, well, she was Miss Picciarella when I met her as a tutor in summer school. And we worked together ever since. We worked at Lincoln together and been friends, I'd say, for over 20 years now. She's now Dr. Picciarella. She is a living environment teacher at Pulaski. Mr. Cachola, I met 8 years ago teaching in summer school. He also teaches living environment, and he teaches at Palisades Prep. Last but not least, Mr. Montalvo, a student of mine. And you know that expression, where the student becomes the master. Everything that I've been doing during this crisis, whether it's through your Zoom, your Spanish subtitles that you see below, anything that I've been using, Microsoft Teams, Mr. Montalvo has taught me. So I figured the best way to do a lesson about Earth Day and moving forward is to try to bring the whole Yonkers family together to educate all the Yonkers students. So you have 2 high school teachers and 2 middle school teachers. And what we're going to try to do today is try to explain to you, number one, what is Earth Day? Why is there an Earth Day? And the reasons for it. Okay, so let's move forward. Earth Day is on April 22nd, 2020. We're rounding onto our 50th anniversary. Okay, now there is a theme we're going to get to in a little bit, but we're right now on the eve of Earth Day, tomorrow being Earth Day. So what is it? It's an annual event created to celebrate the planet's environment and raise public awareness about pollution. It's not just in the United States. This Earth Day is celebrated worldwide. Okay, now this Earth Day was founded by Senator Gaylord Nelson. Okay, he did this April 22nd, 1970, and that is a picture of him right there. Okay, why do we have Earth Day? There was an oil spill in California, and that oil spill caught on fire, and it brought awareness that pollution needs to be, to be halted or stopped or try to be prevented to make everyone be able to, sustain living in the world, not just the United States.
Okay, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mr. Cachola. I'm here to speak to you about climate and climate change. It's very important. You guys have to understand that you play a very, very significant role in your environment. Just like your ancestors and my ancestors left this planet to us, okay, we have to leave it to our ancestors down the road. So you play a very pivotal part in how you live your life. Okay, as Mr. Colley was talking about, Earth Day is celebrated every year so that now we are able to recognize the accomplishments that everybody puts forth. Okay, pollution, how we navigate around, how we transport. Okay, so a couple of things that we could talk about as far as climate change, global warming. Global warming is a real thing, right? And global warming is exactly what that says. It's the warming of the globe. So when you go outside and you go into a vehicle and you're going to the beach, right, with your friends, these cars, they're going to emit gas, okay, and heat that comes up into the atmosphere. Now, people may just think that these gases go up there and, they stay there and they go somewhere else or whatever the case may be. But let me explain to you what happens. So we have an ozone layer, right? And the ozone layer is a barrier that surrounds the globe. Okay, and the idea of the ozone layer is to keep the sun's rays, which are very, very strong, very harmful, to keep them out of our atmosphere, right? But just like when you build a fence in your backyard, you build a fence to keep people out. It also keeps people in, right? So it keeps your children in, and your family members and siblings in the backyard, so they're in a safe environment. Okay, it's the same effect here with the ozone layer. So now, even though the ozone layer was designed to surround and cushion the earth and protect the earth from the sun's rays, it also keeps things inside. So now all of these emissions and all of this stuff that is burned and comes out into the atmosphere is trapped because it can't get through the ozone layer. And that's what causes global warming. So this global warming is now a problem because the more and more times that we go out and we're not carpooling or we're not riding a bike or we're not taking mass transportation, the more cars that are on the road, this is going to negatively impact, okay, the earth. So it's very, very important, boys and girls, that you guys are cognizant and aware that if you're going to go to the beach with 3 or 4 friends, don't take 3 or 4 cars. Carpool, take 1 car, ride a bike, get on a bus. These are all positive things that you can do to help decrease global warming and keep the planet sustainable and leave it better off than you found it for future generations.
Okay, so to kind of relate it to what's going on in the world right now with this COVID pandemic, we have a picture here of China. The picture on the left is before COVID came about, before February of this year, and the picture to the right is after February. So what do we see? We see a huge decrease in the amount of NO, which is nitrous oxide, in the environment. So what is causing this? Well, when in February, China went into quarantine. So when they went into quarantine, that's what caused factories to be shut down and people to quarantine in their houses, not use transportation. So what do we notice? We see a huge decrease in the amount of emissions. Scientists believe that it's around 25% decrease in China alone during the month of February. So it's a really big impact. In addition, we have also seen a huge decrease in the amount of gasoline sales. People are staying home. They don't need to commute to work. They're not traveling. So what happens? 50% sale decrease causes less cars on the road, to what Mr. Coca-Cola said, less being put into the atmosphere, thus causing less of a climate change factor.
Mr. Montalvo, the theme for Earth Day, he's going to explain this. Thank you.
Yeah, so the theme for Earth Day is climate action. The enormous challenge that it is, but also there are vast opportunities of action on climate change. They have been distinguished the issue as the most pressing topic for its 50th anniversary. And we kind of are seeing the world healing itself, but that just goes to show you how much more we could be doing. Hopefully some of the habits that we've got ourselves into, we can kind of keep those and buy and shop more locally, cut down on the amount of time that we're spending in cars or emitting carbon emissions, and just staying closer to home in order to help fight and combat climate change.
Now, to end our, to have like a culminating project, we figured that the best way, because everyone has different ways of expressing themselves. For those, myself, I am not at all artistically inclined. So I would pick option 1. Create a plan to reduce the impact of climate change in Yonkers locally. What could you do on a day-to-day basis, or what could you do one time, or a bigger project, something small? It's up to you. Okay, what could you do to bring about change? Now, obviously, it's going to require maybe for you to use the internet or to use your phones to figure out what climate change is and some methods you could use to prevent it from spreading or getting more intensified. Okay, now for those who like to draw, you have option 2. Express yourself, displaying the negative effect global change has on the world. And this picture is a nice, 3 pictures explaining, you have the beach to the left, you have icebergs to the right, and then you have factories talking about those emissions that Mr. Cacciola and Dr. Picciarella were talking about. I want to thank you guys for allowing us the time to come together as a Lincoln family, Pulaski family, Martin Luther King family, and Pal Prep family, okay? I know we all work in different schools, and sometimes we're guilty of it. Sometimes, we just work in our own classrooms, but everything is changing. The landscape of education has changed, and we figured let's try to do something like this to get our message out to as many people as we can. Hope you enjoyed the lesson today, and we look forward to bringing more of these type of lessons to you. Thank you, guys.
Take care.